Hello and welcome back to English in Advance. I am your host, Jessica, and I am so incredibly happy to have you here with me today. Today marks the beginning of something very special because we are starting a masterclass journey together. This is not just another English lesson where you memorize a list of words and forget them tomorrow. No, this is different. This is a B1 to B2 Fluency Masterclass designed to help you bridge the gap between understanding English and actually living in English. If you have ever felt stuck in the intermediate plateau, where you can understand most of what you hear but struggle to express yourself fully, then you are in exactly the right place. Over the course of this series, we are going to transform the way you speak, listen, and think in English. We will focus on daily listening and speaking practice that mimics real life. My goal is to help you feel relaxed, confident, and ready to handle any conversation that comes your way. Before we dive into our first deep topic, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. By subscribing, you ensure that you never miss a lesson in this series, and it really helps our community grow. If you find value in our time together today, please simply click the like button. It is a small action for you, but it means the world to me. Now, let us take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and get ready to improve your English skills. Let us start by defining what we mean when we talk about fluency at the B1 and B2 levels. Many students believe that fluency means speaking perfectly without any mistakes. They think they need to sound exactly like a person born in London or New York. But that is a trap. That kind of thinking creates anxiety. Real fluency is about connection. It is about the ability to keep a conversation flowing without long pauses. It is about being able to explain what you mean, even if you do not know the exact word. In this session, we are going to focus on the foundation of daily communication. We're going to look at the small interactions that happen every single day. These are the conversations you have with a neighbor, a colleague, or a friend at a coffee shop. Mastering these small moments is the key to unlocking bigger opportunities. When you can handle small talk with ease, you build the confidence to handle business meetings or complex discussions. The first concept we need to practice is the art of greeting and checking in. In textbooks, you often learn to say hello and then ask how are you, to which the other person replies, I am fine, thank you, and you. While this is grammatically correct, it can sound a bit robotic in the real world. Native speakers often use more relaxed and varied expressions. We want you to sound natural and approachable. So let us look at some alternatives and practice them together. Instead of just asking, how are you, try asking, how is it going? This is a lovely, friendly phrase. Listen to how the words blend together. How is it going? When we speak quickly, the sounds connect. It almost sounds like one long word. How's it going? Try saying that out loud wherever you are right now. How is it going? Another great option is asking, how have you been? This is perfect when you have not seen the person for a few days or weeks. It shows you are interested in their life over a period of time. How have you been? Now let us talk about how to answer these questions. If someone asks you how you are, avoid just saying fine. It acts like a wall that stops the conversation. Instead, try saying pretty good, thanks. The word pretty here does not mean beautiful. It acts as a softener, meaning quite or very. I am pretty good. It sounds humble and natural. Another excellent phrase is cannot complain. This is a classic native speaker response. It means that life is generally good and you do not have any major problems. Imagine you are walking into your office and a coworker asks how things are. You smile and say, "Cannot complain." It makes you sound positive and easygoing. If you are having a fantastic day, you might say, "Never better." This communicates high energy and happiness. Let us practice a short exchange. Imagine I am your friend and I see you at the park. I say, "Hey, long time no see, how have you been?" You could reply with, "Oh, hi, Jessica, I have been good, just busy with work." Notice how you added a little detail about being busy. That is the secret to fluency. Always add one small piece of extra information. This gives the other person something to talk about. It keeps the ball rolling. Let us move deeper into the topic of daily routines and talking about what we do. At the B1 and B2 level, you want to move beyond simple sentences like "I wake up and I eat breakfast." We want to use phrasal verbs and more descriptive language to paint a picture of your life. Phrasal verbs are often scary for learners, but they are the heartbeat of casual English. Let us look at the morning routine. Instead of saying "I leave my bed," we almost always say "I get up." But let us add more flavor. Maybe you are not a morning person. You might say "I struggle to get out of bed," or perhaps you hit the snooze button on your alarm clock. To go off is a phrasal verb we use for alarms. You can say "My alarm went off at 7, but I did not get up until 7:30. This simple sentence tells a story. It is relatable. Everyone knows that feeling. After you get up, you might head to the kitchen. Notice I said "head to" instead of just "go to." To head somewhere means to go there, but it sounds more dynamic. I head to the kitchen to make some coffee. Now let us talk about a very common phrasal verb used in routines, which is to catch up. This can be used in many ways, but in the morning you might catch up on the news. This means you are reading or watching the news to know what happened while you were sleeping. You might check your phone to catch up on social media. Try to make a sentence with this right now in your head. What do you catch up on in the morning? Maybe you catch up on emails. This structure of subject plus phrasal verb plus object is very common. I catch up on emails. Now consider your commute, which is your journey to work or school. This is a great time to practice describing your environment. Instead of saying "there were many cars," use more advanced vocabulary. You could say the traffic was bumper to bumper. This is a wonderful idiom. It creates a visual image of cars so close that their bumpers are almost touching. It means very heavy traffic. If you take the bus or train, you might say it was packed. Packed means very crowded, like sardines in a can. Saying the train was packed is much more descriptive than saying the train was full. It communicates the feeling of being uncomfortable and squeezed in. Let us put this into a practice scenario. Imagine you arrive late to a meeting. You need to apologize and explain why. You could say, "I'm so sorry I'm late. The traffic was bumper to bumper this morning." This sounds professional yet descriptive. It is much better than just saying "sorry for being late." One of the most important skills for B1 and B2 learners is the ability to talk about the past, specifically your weekend or recent events. This is the most common topic for small talk on a Monday morning. When someone asks, "Did you have a good weekend?" you need to be ready. A simple "yes, it was good" is a conversation killer. We want to use a mix of past simple and past continuous tenses to tell a short story. For example, you might say, "It was great, I went hiking on Saturday." That is the main event. But then you can add details using the continuous tense. "While we were walking, we saw a deer." Notice how the two tenses work together. The walking was happening over time, and seeing the deer was the sudden action that interrupted it. This structure adds depth to your story. Let us try another weekend scenario involving relaxing. Maybe you did nothing special. That is okay, but we can describe it in an interesting way. You can use the phrasal verb chill out. You can say, I just chilled out at home. Or another great phrase is catch up on sleep. Remember catch up from earlier. It appears again here. I was so tired from the week, so I just caught up on sleep. You might also say you binged a TV show. To binge means to watch many episodes of a series in one sitting. This is very common modern slang that has become standard English. I binged that new series on Netflix. It is a great way to bond with people because they might ask you what show it was and if it was any good. Now I want to focus on a very specific aspect of fluency, which is active listening. Speaking is only half of the equation. To be a fluent communicator, you need to show that you are listening. We do this with small words and sounds called interjections or active listening signals. These are words like really, wow, oh no, or that is interesting. If you stay silent while the other person is talking, they might think you are bored or that you do not understand. You need to participate with your face and your voice. For example, if your friend says, I lost my wallet yesterday, you should immediately respond with, oh no, that is terrible. You do not wait for them to finish the whole story. You react to the emotion. If they say, I finally got that promotion at work, you should exclaim, wow, congratulations, that is amazing. These immediate reactions build a bridge between you and the speaker. They make the speaker feel heard and validated. Let us practice this. I am going to tell you 3 short sentences. After each one, I want you to say a reaction out loud. Are you ready? Here's the first one. I have been working on this project for 6 months and I finally finished it today. What is your reaction? You should be saying something like, wow, that is great, or well done. Here is the second one. My dog has been sick all week, so I have not slept much. Your reaction should be, oh no, I am sorry to hear that, or that sounds tough. Here is the third one. We decided to book a trip to Italy for the summer. Your reaction should be, that sounds wonderful, or, oh, I love Italy. By doing this, you become an active participant in the conversation, not just a passive listener. Let us transition to talking about future plans. B1 and B2, learners often overuse the word will. I will go, I will eat, I will sleep. However, native speakers very often use going to or the present continuous for future arrangements. If you have a plan that is already decided, use the present continuous. For example, I am meeting my sister for lunch tomorrow. This sounds much more natural than I will meet my sister. It implies that the plan is fixed. You have a time and a place. Let us look at the structure. Subject plus am or is or are plus. Verb with an ing. I am flying to Paris next week. She is starting a new job on Monday. We are having a party on Saturday. This usage of the present continuous for the future is a key marker of an intermediate to advanced speaker. It shows you understand the nuance of English grammar. I want to take a moment to talk about pronunciation and intonation. English is a stress-timed language. This means that some syllables are longer and louder, and others are shorter and quieter. To sound fluent, you cannot speak like a robot where every word has the same strength. You need to find the rhythm. Usually, the important words like nouns, verbs, and adjectives are stressed. The small grammar words like to, the, a, and of are unstressed and spoken very quickly. Let us look at the sentence, I want to go to the park. A robot would say, I want to go to the park. A natural speaker says, I want to go to the park. Notice how want, go, and park are strong. The word to almost becomes a small sound like to. I want to go to the park. This reduction of sounds is what makes native speech fast. We call this the schwa sound. It is the lazy vowel sound. Learning to use the schwa and stressing the key words will instantly improve your listening comprehension because you will stop looking for every single word and start listening for the stressed key words that carry the meaning. Let us practice shadowing with a longer paragraph. Shadowing is where you repeat what I say immediately after I say it, trying to match my speed and melody. I will tell you a short story about a coffee shop visit. I will speak slowly first and then at a natural speed. Listen carefully. Yesterday, I ran into an old friend at the coffee shop. We had not seen each other in years. We sat down and talked for hours. It was so nice to catch up. Now, I will say it again, a bit faster, and I want you to try to say it with me or right after me. Yesterday, I ran into an old friend at the coffee shop. We'd not seen each other in years. We sat down and talked for hours. It was so nice to catch up. Did you notice the linking? Ran into becomes ran into. Sat down becomes sat down. Practice this flow. The more you physically practice moving your mouth in this way, the easier it becomes to speak without thinking. Another important topic for our masterclass is describing emotions. Basic English uses happy, sad, and angry, but to reach B2 and beyond, we need more nuance. If you are very happy, you might be thrilled or delighted. I was thrilled to hear the news. If you are very tired, you are exhausted or drained. After the long flight, I was absolutely drained. If you are angry, you might be frustrated or annoyed. Frustrated is a great word when things are not working the way you want. I was so frustrated with my computer today. Using these specific adjectives helps you express your true feelings more accurately. It allows you to connect on a deeper emotional level. Next time you want to say you are sad, ask yourself, is there a better word? Maybe you are disappointed, or maybe you are feeling down. To feel down is a phrasal verb meaning sad or depressed. I have been feeling a bit down lately. This sounds very natural and human. Now that we have established these foundations, I want to gently guide you into the second phase of our masterclass. We're going to take a significant step forward, moving from talking about facts and routines to talking about ideas, opinions, and feelings. This is where your personality really starts to shine through in English. Being fluent is not just about describing what happened yesterday. It is about sharing what you think about the world, debating ideas politely, and understanding the colorful expressions that native speakers use constantly. By the end of this next section, you will have the tools to join a dinner table conversation, express a strong opinion without being rude, and understand some of those confusing idioms that often leave learners scratching their heads. Let us start with expressing opinions. At the beginner level, we rely heavily on the phrase, I think. I think it is good. I think it is bad. While this is correct, it can become repetitive and, quite honestly, a little bit boring. To sound more like an intermediate or advanced speaker, we need to vary our language. We need to add flavor to how we introduce our thoughts. One of my favorite alternatives is the phrase, if you ask me. This is a conversational way to introduce your opinion. It sounds confident but casual. For example, imagine you and your friends are discussing a new movie that everyone is talking about. Instead of saying, "I think the movie was too long," you can say, "If you ask me, the movie was way too long." It signals that you are offering your personal perspective. Try saying that out loud. "If you ask me." It flows together beautifully. Another excellent phrase is "from my perspective" or "in my view." These are slightly more formal, but you can still use them in daily life, especially when discussing serious topics like work or news. Imagine you are in a meeting and you want to share an idea about a project. You could say, "From my perspective, we should focus on social media marketing." This gives your opinion weight and respectability. Now, if you want to be very honest and perhaps say something that others might not agree with, you can use "to be honest with you." This is a very common marker in English speech. It prepares the listener for a truthful, perhaps critical statement. For instance, your friend asks if you like their new haircut. You might say, "To be honest with you, I preferred it when it was longer." It softens the blow of the criticism because you are framing it as a moment of honesty. Let us practice a scenario involving food. Food is a universal topic. Imagine you are at a restaurant with a group of people. Everyone is praising the pasta, but you find it a bit salty. You want to express this without sounding rude. You can say, "Personally, I find it a bit too salty." Using "personally" helps to emphasize that this is just your taste, not an objective fact. Or you could use the phrase, "I reckon." This is very common in British and Australian English, but American speakers understand it well too. It means "I think" or "I guess." "I reckon we should order dessert." It sounds very friendly and laid back. Let us try to shadow a sentence together. I am going to say it slowly, and I want you to repeat it. Personally, I feel that learning English should be fun. Now let us try it at a normal speed. Personally, I feel that learning English should be fun. Did you get the rhythm? The stress falls on personally and fun. Now that we know how to give an opinion, we must learn the delicate art of disagreeing. In many cultures, direct disagreement is normal and acceptable. But in English-speaking cultures, especially in the UK and parts of the US, we tend to be very polite and indirect. Saying you are wrong is often considered too aggressive. If you say that to a colleague, you might offend them. Instead, we use a technique called softening. We acknowledge the other person's point before we present our own. A classic phrase for this is, "I see your point, but." This shows respect. It tells the listener that you heard them. For example, if someone says, "Living in the city is the best," and you prefer the countryside, do not say no, "It is too noisy." Instead, say, "I see your point, but I prefer the peace and quiet of the countryside." It turns a conflict into a conversation. Another wonderful phrase for disagreement is, "I am not so sure about that." This is a very gentle way to say no. It expresses doubt rather than total rejection. Imagine your friend says, "I think we can finish this work in 1 hour." You know it will take 3 hours. You can say, "I am not so sure about that. It is a lot of work." This invites further discussion rather than shutting it down. If you want to be even more diplomatic, you can use the phrase, "That is a valid point, however." This is excellent for professional settings. "That is a valid point, however, we need to consider the budget." Notice the structure. Affirmation followed by a transition word like "however" or "but," followed by your counter-argument. This is the sandwich method of communication. You sandwich the negative between positive or neutral layers. Let us practice a disagreement scenario. I am going to make a statement, and I want you to practice disagreeing with me politely using the phrases we just learned. Here's the statement. I think cats are much better pets than dogs. Now, how would you respond if you love dogs? You could say, I see where you are coming from, but dogs are more loyal. Or you could say, I beg to differ. I beg to differ is a fantastic phrase. It sounds sophisticated. It simply means, I disagree. I beg to differ. I think dogs are better companions. Try saying that, I beg to differ. It makes you sound very educated and polite. Now we are going to shift gears and enter the colorful world of idioms. Idioms are phrases where the meaning is not obvious from the individual words. If you translate them word for word, they make no sense. But native speakers use them constantly. Understanding idioms is often the bridge between B1 and B2 level. It shows you understand the culture, not just the grammar. Let us start with a very common one used in work and study contexts, which is to hit the nail on the head. Imagine you are trying to hang a picture and you have a hammer and a nail. If you hit the nail perfectly on the head, you get the job done right. So when someone says you hit the nail on the head, it means you are exactly right. You identified the problem or the solution perfectly. If your boss says exactly, that is the problem, you hit the nail on the head, you should feel very proud. Another very common idiom is piece of cake. This has nothing to do with dessert, unfortunately. It simply means something is very easy. If you take a test and it was simple, you can tell your friend, do not worry about the exam. It was a piece of cake. Conversely, if something is very expensive, we say it costs an arm and a leg. Imagine having to pay with your own limbs. That would be a very high price. So if you are looking at a luxury car, you might say, I love that car, but it costs an arm and a leg. These visual images help us remember the phrases. Try to visualize a very expensive handbag costing actual arms and legs. It is a funny image, but it will help the idiom stick in your memory. Let us look at an idiom for when things are going wrong. To bite the bullet. This comes from history when soldiers had to bite on a bullet during surgery before anesthesia. It means to force yourself to do something unpleasant or difficult that you have been avoiding. Maybe you need to call an angry client. You do not want to do it, but you tell your colleague, I am just going to bite the bullet and call him. It implies bravery in a small way. Another one related to difficult situations is under the weather. This means feeling sick, but usually just a little sick, like a cold or a headache. If you cannot come to work, you might text your boss saying, I am feeling a bit under the weather today, so I will stay home. It is a soft, professional way to say you are ill without giving too many details. Let us weave these idioms into a story to see how they work in context. Listen carefully and try to spot the idioms. Yesterday was a crazy day. I had a presentation at work and I was feeling a bit under the weather. I was nervous, but I knew I just had to bite the bullet and do it. To my surprise, the presentation was a piece of cake. My boss told me I hit the nail on the head with my marketing ideas. Afterward, I wanted to celebrate, but the restaurant I liked costs an arm and a leg, so I just went home. Did you catch them all? Under the weather, bite the bullet, piece of cake, hit the nail on the head, and costs an arm and a leg. Using them in a story helps you understand the flow. I encourage you to write a short paragraph about your own life using 2 or 3 of these idioms. Maybe write about a time you had to bite the bullet. Now, I want to talk about a grammar point that is essential for B2 fluency, which is the second conditional. This is what we use to talk about hypothetical situations. Situations that are not real right now, but we are imagining them. The structure is usually if I plus the past tense verb followed by I would. For example, if I won the lottery, I would travel the world. Many learners make the mistake of saying, if I win the lottery, I will travel. That is the first conditional, used for real possibilities. But for dreams and fantasies, we use the past tense won and would. If I had more time, I would learn to play the piano. This implies I do not have more time right now. We also use this structure to give advice. The phrase is, if I were you. Note that we say were instead of was. This is a special subjunctive mood in English. Though was is becoming common in casual speech, were is technically correct and sounds better. If I were you, I would take that job. If I were you, I would apologize to her. This is a very soft and supportive way to give advice. Instead of saying you should do this, which can sound bossy, you put yourself in their shoes. If I were you, let us practice this. Imagine your friend is tired. Give them advice. You could say, if I were you, I would go to bed early. Imagine your friend wants to learn English faster. You could say, if I were you, I would listen to this podcast every day. It is a powerful structure for connection and empathy. Let us combine opinions, disagreements, and conditionals into a longer practice session. We are going to talk about travel. I will ask you a question, and I want you to answer it out loud using the structures we have learned. Here is the question. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? Think about it. Use the second conditional. I would live in... because? Now, imagine someone says to you living in a cold country is the best because you can ski. If you hate the cold, disagree politely. You might say, I see your point, but personally I prefer warm weather because I love the beach. See how we are layering the skills. We are not just using grammar rules in isolation. We are building complex communication. Another important aspect of sounding natural is using linking words or connectors. These are the bridges between your ideas. Without them, your speech sounds choppy, like a list of sentences. We want a smooth river of speech. Words like actually, clearly, eventually, and apparently are very useful. Actually is often used to correct a misconception or add surprising information. For example, do you like British food? Actually, I think it is delicious. Apparently is used when you have heard something is true, but you do not know for sure. Apparently, it is going to rain tomorrow. Eventually talks about something happening after a long time. I studied for years, and eventually I became fluent. These words act as signposts for the listener. They tell us where the sentence is going. As we continue our journey, we are going to pack our bags and move into the third phase of our masterclass. We are stepping out of the classroom and into the wider world. We will be covering essential travel vocabulary that goes beyond the basics, exploring cultural etiquette so you never feel rude in a foreign country. And most importantly, we will unlock the secrets of storytelling. Being able to tell a captivating story about your travels or your life is a hallmark of true fluency. It is how we make friends, how we entertain people, and how we share who we are. Let us begin at the airport. For many travelers, the airport is a place of stress, but with the right vocabulary, it can be a breeze. We all know words like passport and ticket, but to reach a B2 level, we need to be more specific. Let us talk about luggage. You usually have two types. The large bag that goes into the plane storage is called checked luggage or checked baggage. The small bag you take with you to your seat is called a carry-on or hand luggage. A common phrasal verb here is to check in. You check in your bags at the counter. But what if you are traveling for a short time? You might decide to travel light. To travel light is a wonderful idiom that means to bring very few things. I always try to travel light so I do not have to wait at the baggage claim. The baggage claim is the area with the moving belt where you collect your suitcase. Now, let us discuss the journey itself. Sometimes you do not fly directly to your destination. You might have a layover or a stopover. These words are often confused. A layover is usually a short wait at an airport between flights, maybe 2 or 3 hours. You stay in the airport. A stopover is longer, often more than 24 hours, where you might leave the airport and stay in a hotel for a night before continuing your journey. Knowing the difference is important when booking flights. If your flight is late, we say it is delayed. If it is canceled, that is bad news. But here's a great phrase for when things go wrong. We say, I missed my connection. This means your first flight was late, so you could not get on your second flight. If you call an airline customer service agent, you can say calmly, unfortunately, I missed my connection due to a delay. Can you help me rebook? Being polite and using the specific terminology like rebook will get you a solution much faster than getting angry. Once you arrive at your destination, you need accommodation. You might stay in a hotel, a hostel, or an Airbnb. The phrasal verbs here are check in and check out. But let us look at some descriptive words. If a hotel is very fancy and expensive, we say it is luxurious or upscale. If it is cheap and basic, we might call it budget-friendly. Be careful with the word cheap. Cheap can sometimes mean low quality. Budget-friendly sounds much more positive. It means it is good for your wallet. When you are looking for a place to eat or visit, you might want to avoid the tourist traps. A tourist trap is a place that is very crowded with tourists, usually expensive and not very authentic. Instead, you want to go off the beaten path. This is a beautiful idiom. The beaten path is the road everyone walks on. To go off the beaten path means to explore places that are quiet, local, and unique. You might ask a local resident, do you know any restaurants that are off the beaten path? They will appreciate that you want to see the real culture. This leads us perfectly into the topic of cultural etiquette. Language is not just words, it is culture. How you use English changes depending on where you are and who you are talking to. In many English-speaking countries, especially the UK and Canada, politeness is paramount. We use a lot of softeners. For example, if you are at a hotel reception and the air conditioning is broken, do not say, I want a new room. That sounds very direct and aggressive. Instead, use the phrase, would it be possible to? Would it be possible to change rooms? The air conditioning seems to be broken. Or you can use, I was wondering if I could get some extra towels. These structures act like a cushion. They make your request soft and easy to accept. Another aspect of etiquette is small talk with strangers. In some cultures, talking to people on the bus or in a line is strange. In the US and parts of the UK, it is quite common. If you are standing in a long line for a museum, you can turn to the person next to you and say, quite a line, isn't it? Or, wow, it is busy today. This is called breaking the ice. To break the ice means to start a social interaction to reduce tension or awkwardness. You do not have to become best friends. A smile and a short comment are enough. If the person smiles back and answers, you can continue. If they look away, you stop. Being able to read these signals is part of fluency. Let us talk about the idiom, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. We often shorten this to just when in Rome. It means that when you are visiting a new place, you should follow the customs of the local people. If everyone takes off their shoes before entering a house, you should too. If everyone tips 20% at a restaurant, you should too. It shows respect. Speaking of tipping, this is a big part of travel culture in places like the U.S. It is helpful to know the vocabulary. The bill is the piece of paper telling you how much to pay. The tip or gratuity is the extra money for the service. You might hear a waiter ask, "Do you want to split the bill?" This means everyone pays for their own meal separately. Or someone might say, "It is on me." If a friend says dinner is on me, do not argue too much. It means they want to pay for you. It is a generous gesture. You can simply say, "Oh, thank you, that is very kind of you." Now, we arrive at the heart of today's lesson, which is storytelling. Imagine you have returned from your trip. Your friends want to know how it was. You do not want to just say, "It was good, we ate pizza." You want to tell a story. You want to captivate them. To do this, you need to master the narrative tenses. These are the past simple, the past continuous, and the past perfect. Many B1 students stick to the past simple. I went to Rome. I saw the Colosseum. I ate pasta. This is factual, but it is flat. It sounds like a list. To make it 3D, we need the other tenses. The past simple is for the main events. I arrived at the hotel. I walked to the beach. The past continuous is for setting the scene or describing an action in progress. The sun was shining. The birds were singing. I was walking down the street. Notice the difference. I walked is a finished action. I was walking puts the listener inside the action with you. It creates an atmosphere. Then we have the past perfect. This is the tense that truly elevates your English to B2 and C1. We use the past perfect to talk about something that happened before the main past event. The structure is had plus the past participle. Let us look at an example. Imagine you arrived at the airport, but you realized you forgot your passport at home. Main event, realized, past simple. Event before that, forgot passport. So we say, I realized I had forgotten my passport. If you say I realized I forgot my passport, it is acceptable. But I realized I had forgotten adds clarity to the timeline. It emphasizes that the forgetting happened earlier. Let us try to weave these three tenses into a story opener. Listen carefully. The sun was setting over the ocean, past continuous. We had just finished a delicious dinner, past perfect. Suddenly, a band started playing music on the beach, past simple. Can you see the picture? The continuous tense paints the background. The perfect tense tells us what just happened. The simple tense gives us the new action. Structure is just as important as grammar. A good story needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. We often call this the hook, the conflict, and the resolution. The hook grabs attention. You can start with a question or a strong statement. You will never guess what happened to me in Paris. That is a hook. Or, I had the scariest experience of my life last summer. Immediately, the listener wants to know more. The middle is where the problem happens. No story is interesting without a problem. Maybe you got lost. Maybe you lost your wallet. Maybe you met a strange person. You need to build the tension. Use words like suddenly, out of the blue, or unfortunately. Then comes the resolution. How did it end? Did you find the wallet? Did a stranger help you? And finally, a reflection. What did you learn? It was a crazy experience, but I learned to always check my pockets. Let us practice with a full story simulation. I am going to tell a story about a missed train. I want you to listen for the tenses and the structure. I will speak clearly and naturally. Here is the story. Last winter, I decided to visit my sister in Scotland. It was a freezing cold day and snow was falling heavily. That is the scene setting with past continuous. I had booked my train ticket weeks in advance because I wanted to be organized. That is past perfect. Had booked. I arrived at the station on time, but I was feeling a bit hungry, so I went to a cafe to grab a coffee. I was enjoying my coffee and reading a book when I looked at my watch. I realized I had misread the departure time. My train was leaving in 2 minutes. I jumped up, spilled my coffee, and ran to the platform. But it was too late. The train had already left. I was devastated. However, because I missed that train, I had to wait for the next one. While I was waiting, I met an old friend from high school on the platform. We had not seen each other for 10 years. We ended up sitting together on the next train and talking for hours. So even though I missed the first train, it turned out to be a lucky mistake. Did you follow the flow? The snow was falling. Background. I had booked. Past action. I was enjoying. Action in progress. I realized I had misread. Earlier mistake. The train had left. Earlier action. Then the resolution. Meeting the friend. This is how native speakers structure their anecdotes. It is not just facts. It is a weaving together of time. I encourage you to replay that section and try to shadow it. Repeat the story after me to feel the grammar in your mouth. Now, as we approach the final phase of our masterclass, we are going to get down to business, literally. This final section is all about professional English. Whether you are preparing for a job interview, looking to get promoted, or simply want to sound more competent and polite in your current job, this is for you. We will break down the specific formulas for answering tough interview questions, the etiquette for boardroom meetings, how to write emails that get results, and the idioms that rule the corporate world. But we will not stop there, because we are nearing the end of our journey. I will also give you a roadmap for the future. I will share a strategy for maintaining your new skills so that you do not slide back down the mountain you have just climbed. Let us start by defining the difference between general English and professional English. Many learners think professional English involves using long, complicated words from a dictionary. They think they need to sound like a lawyer from the 19th century. This is a myth. Modern professional English is about clarity, politeness, and efficiency. It is not about using big words. It is about using the right words to get things done without causing offense. The biggest shift you need to make is from direct language to indirect language. In a casual setting with friends, you might say, "Give me the pen." In a professional setting, this is too commanding. Instead, we use modals like could, would, and may. Could you possibly pass me the pen? Would you mind sending me that report? Let us look at a specific structure called the softer request. Instead of saying, "I want to meet you tomorrow," which sounds demanding, try saying, "I was wondering if we could meet tomorrow." The phrase "I was wondering" puts the focus on your thought process rather than your demand. It gives the other person space to say no without feeling bad. Another great phrase is, "It would be great if." Instead of "do this by Friday," say, "It would be great if you could finish this by Friday." It sounds collaborative rather than dictatorial. Remember, in business, relationships are everything. Your language should build bridges, not walls. Now let us tackle one of the most stressful situations in professional life, which is the job interview. The very first question you will likely face is, "Tell me about yourself." This seems simple, but it is a trap. The interviewer does not want to know your entire life story. They do not want to know where you were born or what your cat's name is. They want a professional highlight reel. The formula I recommend is past, present, future. Start with the present. I am currently a marketing manager with 5 years of experience specializing in social media. Then, go to the past. Before that, I worked as a graphic designer where I learned the importance of visual branding. Finally, the future. Now I am looking to take on more responsibility and lead a team, which is why I am so excited about this role. This structure keeps your answer focused and relevant. It tells a story of growth. Another difficult question is, what is your greatest weakness? Please, I beg you, do not say I work too hard or I'm a perfectionist. Interviewers hear this 1,000 times and they know it is a fake answer. It sounds dishonest. Instead, choose a real weakness but one that is not critical to the job and immediately explain how you are fixing it. For example, you might say, "Sometimes I struggle with public speaking because I get nervous. However, I have recently joined a workshop to practice my presentation skills, and I am already seeing improvement." This answer shows self-awareness and a growth mindset. It turns a negative into a positive. It shows you are a problem solver, even when the problem is yourself. Let us discuss the STAR method. This is the gold standard for answering behavioral questions. These are questions that start with "tell me about a time when." For example, tell me about a time you solved a conflict. To answer this, remember STAR. S stands for situation. Briefly set the scene. T stands for task. What did you have to do? A stands for action. This is the most important part. What specific steps did you take? Use I, not we. I analyzed the data, I spoke to the client, I proposed a solution. Finally, R stands for result. What was the outcome? Did you save money? Did you save time? Did the client stay? Always try to quantify the result if you can. For instance, putting it all together. The situation was that a client was angry about a delay. My task was to calm them down and keep their business. The action I took was listening to their concerns without interrupting, apologizing sincerely, and offering a discount on the next order. The result was that the client signed a new contract worth $10,000. That is a perfect answer. It is structured, clear, and impactful. Moving from interviews to the daily reality of the workplace, let us talk about meetings. Meetings can be chaotic, especially in a second language. The hardest part is often interrupting politely. If you wait for a perfect silence, you might wait forever. You need to learn to interject. Good phrases for this are, "May I come in here?" or "I would like to add something to that." If someone interrupts you, you can hold your ground politely by saying, "If I could just finish my point." This signals that you are not yielding the floor yet. Another key skill in meetings is checking for understanding. You want to make sure you understood what was said and that others understood you. You can say, "Let me see if I have this right. You are saying that we need to cut the budget." Or, "Does that make sense to everyone?" A very common business idiom used here is to be on the same page. We need to make sure we are all on the same page. This means we all have the same information and agree on the plan. If you are not on the same page, chaos ensues. Speaking of idioms, the business world is full of them. Let us learn a few essential ones. To get the ball rolling. This means to start a project or a meeting. Let us get the ball rolling by introducing ourselves. To think outside the box. You have probably heard this. It means to think creatively, not in the traditional way. We need to think outside the box to solve this problem, to keep someone in the loop. This means to keep someone informed about the progress of something. Please keep me in the loop regarding the sales figures. To call it a day. This is my favorite. It means to stop working for the day. We've done a lot of work. Let us call it a day and go home. To touch base. This means to make contact briefly. I will touch base with you next week. Try to visualize these. Imagine a ball rolling to start a meeting. Imagine a loop of information. These images will help the idiom stick. Let us transition to written communication, specifically emails. Writing an email is different from writing a text message. It needs structure. You should almost always start with a salutation like, "Dear Jessica," or "Hi team." A very common opening sentence is, "I hope this email finds you well." Some people think it is a cliché, but it serves a purpose. It is social glue. It shows you are a human being, not a robot. When making a request in an email, be clear but polite. Instead of "send me the file," write, "Could you please send me the file at your earliest convenience?" At your earliest convenience is a polite way of saying as soon as possible. When closing an email, match the tone to the relationship. If it is a formal client, use "sincerely" or "best regards." If it is a close colleague, "best" or "thanks" is fine. And always, always proofread. Read your email out loud before you hit send. This helps you catch typos and tone issues. If it sounds rude when you say it out loud, it will sound rude when they read it. A useful phrase for ending an email when you are waiting for a reply is, "I look forward to hearing from you." This is a standard professional closer that encourages a response. Now that we have covered the professional landscape, I want to zoom out. We have spent this time together covering a massive amount of material. You might be feeling a mix of excitement and overwhelm. You might be thinking, "Jessica, how do I remember all of this? How do I keep improving?" This brings us to the final and most important message of our masterclass, which is your future roadmap. Reaching a B2 level is a huge achievement, but if you stop using English, you will lose it. Language is like a muscle. If you stop going to the gym, your muscles get smaller. If you stop speaking English, your fluency shrinks. So, you need a maintenance plan. I recommend the concept of the non-negotiable daily habit. This is something small that you do every single day, no matter what. It could be listening to one podcast episode while you brush your teeth. It could be reading one news article in English. It could be writing 3 sentences in a journal. The key is consistency, not intensity. Studying for 10 minutes every day is better than studying for 5 hours once a week. You also need to embrace the uncomfortable. Growth only happens outside your comfort zone. If you understand 100% of what you are listening to, it is too easy. You should aim for content where you understand about 80%. That missing 20% is where the learning happens. That is where your brain has to work to guess the meaning from context. Do not be afraid of not knowing. Be curious about it. When you hear a word you do not know, do not panic. Write it down. Look it up later. Make it your friend. I also want to encourage you to find a community. Learning alone is hard. Learning together is powerful. Use the comments section of this channel to find study partners. Join online forums. If you can, join a speaking club. Speaking to yourself is great, but speaking to real humans is the ultimate test. It brings in the element of unpredictability. You do not know what they will say, so you have to react in real time. That is true fluency. Let us take a moment to reflect on your mindset. Throughout this series, I have asked you to believe in yourself. I want to reiterate that. Many people say, I am just not good at languages or I am too old to learn. These are limiting beliefs. They are walls you build in your own mind. You have to tear them down. Science tells us that the brain is plastic. Neuroplasticity means your brain can change and grow at any age. You are physically capable of learning this. The only thing stopping you is the story you tell yourself. Change the story. Instead of saying, I am bad at English, say I am improving my English every day. Let us integrate everything we have learned into a final visualization. I want you to imagine yourself 1 year from now. You are walking into a meeting room or a social gathering. You are standing tall. Your shoulders are back. Someone asks you a question in English. You do not freeze. You do not panic. You simply smile, take a breath, and answer. You use the right idioms. You use the correct past tense. You express your opinion politely. You make a joke and everyone laughs. How does that feel? That feeling of freedom and competence is what you are working for. It is not just about words. It is about the freedom to be yourself in another language. I want to leave you with a challenge for the next 30 days. I call it the English Immersion Challenge. For the next month, I want you to change one major part of your life into English. Maybe it is the operating system on your phone. Maybe it is the news you watch. Maybe it is the books you read. Just one thing. Immerse yourself in it. At the end of the 30 days, evaluate how you feel. I promise you, you will see a difference. You will start thinking in English without realizing it. That is the magic moment. When you wake up and realize you just had a thought in English, you know you have made it. This brings us to the end of our B1 to B2 English Fluency Masterclass. It has been an absolute honor to be your guide on this journey. I have loved sharing these tips, tricks, and strategies with you. But remember, a teacher can only open the door. You must enter by yourself. You have the tools now. You have the knowledge. The rest is up to you. Thank you for listening, for practicing, and for trusting me with your time. If this series has helped you, please consider sharing the entire playlist with a friend, a colleague, or a family member. Let us spread the joy of learning. Leave a comment below and tell me your biggest takeaway from this entire series. What is the one thing you will never forget? And tell me, are you ready for the next level? Because even though this masterclass is ending, our journey on this channel is just beginning. We will have many more videos and podcasts coming your way. So for the final time in this series, keep your head up, keep your notebook open, and keep your heart open to the beautiful challenge of learning English. You are capable of amazing things. Believe it. Achieve it. This is Jessica from English in Advance, signing off. I will see you in the next adventure. Goodbye for now, and good luck.